Basketball Talk Pro. This will be the last session until after the holidays. I've got some personal things I've got to take care of, and we get so busy, everybody's running around, with the holidays, that I thought it was best to give me a little personal time that I need at this time. We'll begin again in the first week of January after New Year's. Well, today we have a real special segment. It's, first of all, it's a great story, but most of all, what's important is that it shows you what you have to do to excel in coaching. Rick Starzecki, who played for me and coached with me for 8 or 9 years in college, took a team to 24-0, won the Colorado state championship, never lost a game all season. In fact, I think he only lost one in 2 years with this team. But how he prepared that team to win a championship, meticulous. He's going to tell you how he did that. You need to heed that. No matter if your goal is the conference championship, but everybody's should be as high a goal as possible. He just took it step by step, you'll hear it, and took his team, prepared his team, and had an amazing season. I don't know many people who haven't lost one game in their whole season and took in a championship. The only guy I know like that is Wooden. But I want him to tell your story, and I want you to listen, because this is what you have to do. Don't be satisfied with 500 or mediocrity. Put yourself into it like Rick has in this situation, and you can have the fruits of accomplishing something that very few people can do. Listen carefully.
Good morning. My name is Rick Starzecki. I live in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I was the basketball coach at Rampart High School when it opened, and it was a brand new school. I will go into a particular season in which we were undefeated. But before that, I have a few things I'd like to say. My background is I started in high school, and then Ron Ekker was at the University of Minnesota, and I asked him, about my professional career, and he said, well, go get your master's degree. And I went to St. Cloud State, and Noel Olson was the coach there, and Ron coached against him when he was at University of Minnesota Morris in St. Cloud. And then Ron called me in June. I was prepared to be there another year, and he said, I have a job for you at West Texas State University. When can you be here? And I think my wife and I packed up our U-Haul, and in 72 hours we were in Texas. And I was an assistant for Ron for 5 years there. We had really a couple of really good teams. And then I went to St. Edward's University, a small college, NAIA school. And then Ron was at St. Louis and called and wanted me to hook up with him again, and I did. And we moved, and I was an assistant athletic director along with assistant basketball coach. And I was kind of the detail man for Ron that way. No job was below my dignity, and did whatever we had to do, from taping the lines on the court to whatever it was. And that's what you do as an assistant. And then I decided to change careers, so to speak, and went to high school, and that's where I came here to Colorado Springs. And had some really nice teams, really some good players. Not great players, good enough players, kind of like that concept from Talent's Overrated. The players were very receptive to my style of coaching. I was a hard coach, a demanding coach with high expectations. And we had lots of success. I would like to start also by saying that I'm blessed to have some outstanding mentors in my life, both as a coach and as a person. And Ron Ekker certainly is at the top of the list of that. And I would ask all of you in the audience to pay attention to what he says, because it's proven, and he has a lot of experience and results. I want to talk about a couple lessons, and then I'll get into to this team. I think it's important to develop a strong belief in yourself, in what you do. I think you should have a clear vision and strong purpose of what you do. This becomes your North Star. I think you model what you want, and that means, like, for example, if it's important for players to be on time, then you be on time. I was always early. That kind of thing. Then the rules take care of themselves. Develop a system of play, and my system is very similar to what I learned from Ron. Some adaptations, but basically that. And lastly, I think you have to develop a strong relationship with your players. You have to invest time, productive time, not busy work time. I wasn't their friend. I was friendly enough, but I really worked hard at trying to get players to trust what I was telling them. I was direct and honest, and I always gave them hope. And I feel, even in the down times, and we had some tough losses and all of that, but I always gave the players hope that we were better than what we were when we lost, and we weren't as good as we were when we won. You know how that goes. Colorado Springs is a community of about 500,000, 30 high schools, so it's a fairly good-sized city. It's grown a lot. There was no history or tradition when I came here. It was kind of a football school from Air Academy High School. And so it took me a little bit of time to develop that. And we did, but it was hard work. I can't tell you enough about the investment that you have to make if you want to be successful. And now the story about our 24-0 team. We were Colorado state champions. We won our league. That was the third year in a row we won the league. And a lot of these players started as sophomores, and several of them had a combined record of 60 wins and 7 losses, with 3 conference championships, district championships, regional championship kind of thing, and state tournament appearances. Well, the 24-0 team, really the season began with a loss in the semifinals, the Final Four, the year before. We lost to a team, and we should have won, could have won. But really, that was where the journey started for this team in terms of its quest for a state championship, and that was a goal of ours. I had 4 players coming back who were starters. They weren't overly talented, but gosh, they played hard together. And that was kind of the whole basis of what we did. We did things as a team. And so it came down to how we were going to handle the adversity of losing a game that we thought we could have won, and what was that going to do to propel us into the next season. And we did the typical stuff in the summer, you know, worked with kids individually, did all of those things. But I did something different with this team. And instead of going to team camps, in Colorado, during the summer, you can meet players as long as you want to. There's no restrictions. And so a lot of colleges have what's called team camps, where a coach brings his team, and we did that with also our junior varsity, and you coach them, and you play against other teams. Well, we had done that for a while, but I wanted to do something different, so I took them on a camping trip. And I think when I told the players this, I thought they were all going to faint. They weren't sure what this was going to be, but I was experienced at camping, and I had all the equipment. So I laid out the plan. Well, I had also organized a bunch of games mid-morning and mid-afternoon, and then we would eat dinner at our campsite with a campfire and all that. And it was a hoot. The players really enjoyed it. They would shower after the game, and I mean, and we had 2 vehicles, and it was great. And it really did kind of create some cohesion. Chemistry is a hard one to kind of develop. If you have it, it's great, but you can develop cohesion. And players genuinely liked each other on the floor, not always friends off the floor, but on the floor, and I really pushed that. And so that disappointment of that loss, I was curious as to how we would respond, and I worked every day after that loss to do something for this team in planning and preparation, and I worked hard at it, and it paid off. As a result, we had just an outstanding season. But the one adversity that I felt was there, it was more of a psychological one than anything. It was the expectation that was placed on this team by the media, by parents, by fans, by students, friends, everybody. And we were the talk. We were the talk of the town. And Colorado Springs wasn't noted for a good basketball town. And all of a sudden, this school up in the north end of town was making noise. And so how we were going to deal with those expectations and not get the big head and overconfident and not work hard and all that. So I drove the players hard. They knew my system. This was the second year, third year for some of these players to be involved in something that we do, which is a freelance offense. Ron now calls it the monk offense. That wasn't the term I've used, only because I didn't know that at the time. But we were also ran a ball line defense, which protected the middle, and we never had really big shot blocker players, but we kept the ball out of there and made teams shoot from the perimeter. And one of the statistics that is just outstanding is the difference between field goal percentage. It's such a high index ratio of winning and losing. It's just proven. So anyway, we start the season with that summer team camp. And there were a lot of things that went on. We played 2 games a day and all of that, and we won all our games, and we played good competition. And it was neat because we could control the scrimmage a little bit and teach and all of that. And so then we came back to school and started middle November was our season. And some of our players were football, and some of them, I was also the tennis coach, and I had a few tennis players and that. And so then we started the season. And, we came out as the #1 ranked team in the state and all that as expected. And it's better to be ranked than not ranked, but still you have to deal with it. And so our opening game, we played a defending state champion, and we won by 30. And I mean, that drew a lot of attention because that was a good program, a good team that we beat. And we were just possessed in that game. I mean, we were cutting and moving and shooting and playing defense and all of that stuff. And so the season went on that way. And then I had scheduled a holiday tournament on the western slope over in Grand Junction for purposes of getting ready for a tournament, because you play back-to-back games. And we won that tournament. And then we came back and started our season in January and February. And then we went on to win our district, our regional, and then we went to state. And we played our state tournament game in University of Colorado. But halfway through the season, 2 of my captains came up and said, "Coach, we'd like to do something different with our warm-up. We'd like to have a T-shirt." And I kind of looked at them, and our base color was blue and gold. And we had nice warm-ups. And and I said, "Okay, what do you got in mind?" And he said, "Well, we'd like an orange T-shirt with on the front, Men at Work, and on the back, Say No to Drugs." And I said, "Well, that's a good message." And I said, "But orange and yellow, does that go together?" And they kind of looked at me and said, "Coach, do you know anything about when the sun rises and the sun sets and all that?" And so we laughed. So they did it. Well, it was a hit. It was an absolute bonanza. The media covered it. Players were interviewed. What I liked about it was a strong positive statement. And with that, I have always coached from a positive mental attitude. I've always felt that the mind can overcome adversity. And I once read something where in the number 1 compared to number 4, 1 is to 4 as the physical is to the mental. And so the mental preparation for this team was really important. The skills were there. And the talent level was good enough. But the other component was what was really a challenge for me and for our players. And so then we get into the state tournament, and the first game we won pretty easily, and then the next game was against a team that we had gotten beat the year before. We should have won that game, and we came out and we struggled some. We were, nervous to the point where we weren't releasing our breaks and call a timeout and talk to the players. And eventually we got the game under control, and we won going away. We ran a 4-corner as a lead protection, not a stall, as a lead protection, and we scored points off of it. And we won going away. And then we're in the finals. And in that semifinal game, I had a player, and he was 6'5", kind of a tall, skinny kid, but he had great timing, great hands. And I taught all my players not to box out on rebounding. And people would look at me cross-eyed with that. And I'm going like, I think it's important to go get the ball. And how can you go get the ball if you're boxing out somebody? Well, this kid got 22 rebounds in the semifinal game. 22. And there weren't a lot of offensive rebounds because we shot a high percentage. For all of you out there teaching rebounding, you can do it with a team concept and aggressiveness and going after the ball. And you can get those dirty rebounds, they hit the floor and all that. So we're in the finals, and we're playing a really good team, and they have a great player who turned out to be the Missouri Valley Conference Freshman of the Year, and he was a stud. And if he's going to catch the ball, we're not going to stop him. So we did a couple things in strategy that I learned from Ron about how to play a player soft sometimes to keep him from passing the ball inside. And fortunately, they didn't have good outside shooting based on the scouting report that I'd done, so it helped. And we won. Close game by 4 points with the four corner again is what was the deciding factor in the game. And so as a result of all of this, we were kind of the talk of the town and a lot of celebration going on and all that. This team was also honored with being the greatest high school team in the history of Colorado Springs sports. And every team that kept a team score, even wrestling or individual sports that keep a team score, there's somewhere in the 20,000. They go back all the way to the 50s. And so it was honored with that, along with earlier being inducted into the Colorado Springs Sports Hall of Fame, which has such inductees as Goose Gossage, the New York Yankees, Peggy Fleming, an Olympic gold medalist. Quite a prestigious thing. And most all the players came back for it. So it was quite an honor. The statistics of this team were really unique. I would do the statistics on Sunday morning, and I'd get up about 5 in the morning, and I never relied on a manager to do the stats. So the stats were always accurate. And we shot 53% for the season, a lot to do with shooting layups and good shot selection. The opponent shot 37% for the season, and that had a lot to do with contesting shots and defensive rebounding. And that's where ball line defense comes into play. It puts you in a position to get rebounds. We made more free throws than the opponents attempted. We had a few more turnovers on average than the opponent. And we were never out-rebounded. In fact, all the years that I coached here, we never were out-rebounded. Close sometimes, but never out-rebounded. I would like to close by just saying a few things that I think are really important as a coach. I think it's important to be professional in everything you do. Sometimes you might not think people are listening to you, but I'll guarantee you they're always watching you. Watching your conduct on the bench, for example. And I learned this from Ron, too, that your bench decorum is important. If you start fussing with officials and start doing all that stuff, pretty soon your players are doing that. And they're not capable of being an official, okay? Their job is to play. And I had a simple saying was, players play, coaches coach, officials officiate, and fans cheer. That's the relationship. And so consequently, that team, for example, we didn't have a technical the whole year. And the players were very poised, but I felt very poised also as a coach on the bench. I wasn't a wild, crazy, screaming guy. I was intense. The huddles oftentimes were intense. We had two kinds of huddles, a good huddle where, I was saying nice things to them, and then a bad huddle where I'd meet them on the floor and tell them just what I thought about their play. Like, I don't recognize my team. Is this Rampart? And so they would get the message. We did core drills every day. I won't go into those, but the drills that I found were important. I'll give you a little interesting sidelight. When I came, I wanted to know what high schools were doing. So I got a lot of film, and I found out that dribble penetration was the biggest thing that these teams did. So consequently, if you're going to be a man-to-man defensive team, which we were, then you better be able to stop penetration. So we worked hard at that. Worked hard at contesting shots and all of that. The point that I'm making is we were a simple program. It wasn't complicated. We didn't have all kinds of plays and all that kind of stuff. And the consistency that we had with it, where I was true to myself with what I believed, and then the players were true to themselves and how they performed. And as a result, we just had some great years, and I'm always thankful for those players. I feel like I gained their trust. I earned it. And I think every coach has to do that. You have to invest with your players. You have to make sure that you like them. You know, Ron uses the term love your players. Love your players. Love the game. Love what you're doing. It was uplifting for me to go to practice. Um, God, it was just, after the day of teaching, it was great to be in that gym, just me and 12 players and a manager. That was it. And there was one voice. I never wore a whistle. I learned that from Ron too. I never blew a whistle. Why? I don't blow whistles in a game. Listen to my voice. When I'm telling you, I want you to pay attention. I got 30 seconds in a timeout. You got number 25. You better understand what I'm telling you. That kind of thing. So I would like to conclude by just saying I'm thankful for being able to present my version of basketball, our story. Everybody has one. Hopefully maybe you'll would pick up an idea, a nugget here or there, and apply it to your program. You can do it if you have a strong purpose, and that North Star will guide you. And follow through. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Don't give up on a player. Don't ever give up on your team. Thanks.
Well, there you have it. A wonderful story and a great learning experience for everybody. Me, I don't care what level of coaching you're on. This was a masterpiece. This is a work of art. I'm happy that he was willing to come on and tell that story. Having coached him and worked with him, I'm proud of what he has done. So we'll see you. Enjoy your holidays, and we'll see you on the 1st of January, around the 1st of January.